Good evening, everybody. Can everybody hear me? Yes? I need an engaging crowd today because I know it's late, but I need everybody to engage. So good evening, everybody. Thank you for being here. We're just waiting for our moderator as well. She's not here at the moment, but I'll just start until she comes. So good evening, everybody, ladies and gentlemen. One thing you'll all appreciate about myself is that even though I'm Nigerian to the core, I grew up in England. So me growing up in England, what does that mean? I keep to time, and I'm not going to take too much time here because I respect everybody's time. I'm not going to take too much time. So just so everybody knows, I've flown here today from UK. I'm not getting paid for this. I'm just here because I genuinely want change. So again, I'll be honest. I'm not here to just talk. I'm not here to talk English. I'm here to break down the barriers. I'm not here to listen to myself. I believe that governance is not about believing you know everything. It's about listening. It's about listening to your people, listening to those already in the industry, like Amobi and like yourself there, listening to the challenges they face and the solutions that they already see. So that's what real leadership is, instead of just talking and talking and talking around in circles. So we'll just start from the slide. So obviously we've got the mission, the reality, the core problem, the infrastructure building, and the call to action. If we go to the next slide. So the mission. The mission that we have for SEDC for sports is infrastructure development, economic growth, inclusive and sustainable development through collaborative partnerships. These are the images that we envision for the future of something that can come to the Southeast. I believe in one place, not in every single state. We are not that big. We need it in one place. So MD is here. If we can figure out what state to put this in and work together, not in silo, this is what we can achieve. Next slide.
Give him one.
There's no need for me to read through that. We'll just keep going. So the reality. This is the reality that we face currently in Nigeria. Some people may laugh, but this is the reality. So the vision, we have a lot of vision, but now it's time to harness real change. We want people to become professional football players. We want people to come into the sport, but we expect them to play on these surfaces. How does that make sense? How does it make sense for anybody? So this is currently what we have, so we need to improve. We have strong ambition ideas, but we lack accountability. We lack infrastructure. We see failed leagues, facilities that cannot be maintained. And like I said, all states work in silo. Without security and infrastructure, the foundation is weak. And without a strong foundation, progress can never last. The next one. So let's be clear. Let's be clear about the real challenge. Nigeria does not lack talent. As we can see from the slides, we have an abundance in talent, not just in football, but in all the different sports. If you can see on the end, that's an NFL player. We haven't even opened the discussion for NFL. Yet we're built. Even me, I could have been an NFL player the way I'm built. Everyone looks at me and they're like, look how big you are. So I could be built to play an NFL player. And it's not difficult. They run programs where they test your agility, your sprint, your speed, and you can be drafted to a college like this. Why are we not exploring these things? So We've seen all the stars. We've got Ademola Lookman, Victor Osimhen, back-to-back African Footballers of the Year. What did they come from? Dirt pitches. So just imagine if we can build the infrastructure, think about the talent that we can create in different sports. So the issue, like I said, is structure, long-term planning, consistency, and we need to create safe, usable infrastructure available to everybody, not just the elite, not just those that can pay, but we need it to be for everybody. When all those elements are missing, talent cannot be sustained. Next. We'll stay here. Go back one. Oh no, back. Yeah, here. So this is a possibility of what's possible. So the pitch that you see here on the right was actually the dirt pitch from previous slides. So infrastructure is the foundation of everything we are discussing. Safe, accessible spaces create engagement. They allow us to build a pipeline from grassroots to elite level. This is why SEDC has identified sites across the 5 states. And these are places that we can start immediately if we have the support. The reason we've identified different universities, and the reason that I've identified universities to start with is because we can maintain universities, we can secure universities, because one of the biggest challenges is overuse of pitches. People don't realize the lifespan of an AstroTurf pitch is not a lot. Nigerians will use an AstroTurf for 20 years, and then players will get injured. So by putting in universities, we can control the hours, we can control the people that go in, and then we can control the usage. So we want to expand into universities, and then obviously we want to get to schools, and we want to get to the different academies. Next slide. So Beverly has joined us now, who's our moderator. I'm going to fly through this very quickly, because I want it to be more of an interactive session. I don't want to just be talking up here. Yeah, this is fine. So my expertise, who am I? So I was a former Premier League player. I played for these clubs. I played for Nigeria. But that's not enough to go into... Thank you. Thank you. I also won a silver medal in the Beijing Olympics with Nigeria, so I'm very proud of that. But since then, I don't believe that that is enough. I believe that I had to go on and do the work. So since then, I went and studied. I've got a master's in sporting directorship. I've gone on and I own businesses in sports where I own golf clubs, I own paddle, different various multi-sports things. So I know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm doing. So yeah, and we're also in process of buying different football clubs as well. So I understand the finances and the nuances of owning a sporting organization, as does this guy here. So let's go to the next slide. So what does actionable change look like? Sometimes I talk and people might say I'm rude, but I'm not trying to be rude. I hear a lot of talking, but I never hear what can we do tomorrow? What are the actionable changes we can do tomorrow or today? This is the most simple change that we can do. In Nigeria, what we love to do is build big stadiums that we can't maintain. We'll build big facilities that we can't maintain. Me personally, I grew up on a field like this. This is how I got spotted for Everton, on a field like this. I wasn't in an academy. I wasn't in some institution. I was playing with my friends in a team, and we get seen in a place like this. And that is what we can do across the whole of the Southeast. I was talking to the commissioner just earlier. We can put facilities like this, maintain them. We can even send young students or retired people to maintain the grass. There's courses to do this. It's not expensive. Why don't we All we ever do is talk about AstroTurf. Build a borehole, water the pitch. AI does this. It's not difficult. Or, if we've got the money, we build AstroTurf pitches. But if we want to create change tomorrow without these big projects, yes, I want the big projects. That's what I want. But tomorrow, this is what I want. I want us to do this from young ages, under 5s, under 6. The problem with Nigeria as well, we don't like the process. We don't like the process at all. I got spotted at 8 years old, not at 16, 8. I trained for 8 years before I even got an opportunity. But in Nigeria, you'll have academy people come just to export talent. What we need to do as government, we need to create spaces like this for everybody, from every walk of life, not just football. I'm just showing an example of football. We need running tracks, we need swimming, we need everything. Multi-sports where people can come for free. That is government's job, for free. That is our job, to provide these environments for free. Private sector, local clubs, they're the ones that can make money charge, but facilities like this should be available for free. Okay? And it's not expensive. It's not expensive to do this. Even me personally, just my own relationships, I have managed to get 2 pitches donated. They're not here yet because I need to see where we're going to put them. So yes, we're waiting for, yes, we need money. We need private sector to help. We want government to provide the foundation. But all of us can use our resources. I can ask people, I can make phone calls. All of us can work collaboratively together for this change to come. So, call to action. We have our clear vision. I'm tired of talking English. If I hear more English talking, I will not come again. I will not. No one's begging me either, by the way. Well, MD has done a fantastic job as well, setting this whole thing up. So I need to give him his kudos. And just lastly, because I don't want to take too much time, another fantastic thing about MD is he doesn't come and put his ideas on anybody. What he does, he leads. He brings people together that know different things in different industries, and he says to us, do. We just go and do, and then we relay it back to him, and he says, if that's good, do it. And you've supported, everybody here supported. And that's how leadership works. Me, myself here, I don't know everything. I know about the English system. That's why I was here, I was having conversations with yourself, and I am always picking their brains. Because I need to understand what is happening here. But what we need to do tomorrow, create free, safe places where people can play sport for free. Nigeria, all we talk about is ROI. No, for free. Let people play and the economy will grow. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I think we're going to chill and have a conversation and ask questions.
Good evening, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, all protocols duly observed. I shall be your moderator for tonight. My name is Beverly Abakoba-Onyejanya. I'm a sports, entertainment, and tech lawyer. It's a pleasure to be between these two fine gentlemen in sports. But permit me to decentralize the sport a bit, because I know we talk a lot of football. Football is the national sport, I do know that. But it's really important that we see sport in as holistic a manner as possible. Because after all, we still have basketball. Basketball is pretty popular in Nigeria as well. We have handball, we have netball, we have cricket. I think the conversation today is about how do we empower an entire industry. And it's not just about, yeah, I know you said that it's not just about ROI. Both of us, we always get into a bit of a banter, which is great because we can't always agree. That way we come up with more interesting solutions. So I think today's conversation will be hinged on 5 pillars. But sorry, I will start the conversation with the brutality of economics. Show us the money. So in Nigeria, typically, we look at sport in a recreational way. In fact, I like what you said about the government should put this infrastructure in, it should be free. But the problem is, how do we maintain these places? So that's another issue altogether. But the issue is now, how do we create sustainability in sport? What does that mean? How does sport fund itself, whereby we are not constantly begging the government for money, for handouts? Again, back to the English system, I know they do have their funds, there's like, for instance, in England, they do have Sport England, fine, but we want to grow beyond that. So I think I'm going to come to you and ask you a question, and I'm going to be, not too hard on you, but you are the GM of Rangers International, and you're doing quite well. You have accolades. You're one of the youngest, most successful GMs in the history of Nigeria. I'm going to ask you this question. Does the club really drive its commercials? Can the club actually survive, be truthful, without government subsidies? And where would you say are the best areas of commercialization for the club? I know you're doing a lot of amazing things, a lot. You should see his WhatsApps, amazing. The storytelling that Obi Asika spoke about, he's doing it, trust me. But sometimes storytelling doesn't convert. So what are you doing to drive that commercial muscle for your club, just to encourage other clubs in Nigeria, and not just in football, across all sports?
Thank you so much, Beverly. I will say that it's a tough one, because when you look at the ecosystem of sports in Nigeria, generally, it's difficult. In Lagos, I had a long conversation with Victor, and he said it's not just in Nigeria alone, but around the world. It's when you look at the history, the cash book, for instance, is on minus. But then they are, viable, they are sustainable, because you have investors coming in. So I will speak from a practical point of view. The Rangers turnaround in the past 2-3 years. So when we came on board, we found, for instance, that the jerseys we wear in Rangers, we just bear Rangers here. And then nobody is paying to advertise, to bring money to the club. And we said, this is a starting point for us. Fine, it's dirty now, but we can clean this up. And then we decided to speak to companies, institutions. We pitched the idea of the identity of our club, the only club in the country that has never gone on relegation since its establishment.
There's a clap, I think.
In 1970. And again, you need that political will. When you have a leader, for instance, the governor says, Commissioner for Sports, GM of Rangers, go and professionalize Rangers. And we started building presentations to say, we have a cathedral. It's 22,000 capacity. We can fill up the cathedral the day we play on Oriental Derbies. Okay. And Ichebe Nigerian Limited. Can you imagine the impact of having our players wear an Ichebe Nigerian Limited on a night we are playing Rangers versus Enyimba at the cathedral? Not just 22,000. The last time we had that, we had over 44,000, because we had people climbing the floodlights. And we were fined for overcrowding. And we started from that point. We got our free invest, 150 million. For the first time, we won the league. And then, immediately we won the league, we got a Danish tractor company, Notra Tractors, 200 million. And we didn't just say, oh, we are comfortable with this. We decided now to go in line with international best practices. Player passport. Most clubs in Africa don't know about these things, because it's embedded there in the FIFA regulation on the status and transfer of players. Most clubs have lost money on training compensation, on solidarity contribution, and these are places you can become sustainable. Again, you talk of sustainability and then you are signing a player who is 40 years, it doesn't work. And we introduced for the first time the academy system in Rangers. We have the under 10, we have the under 13, we have the under 15, we have the under 18. And next month, the under 18, we've got the approval from His Excellency the Governor the under 18 will be going for the first time in the history of our club to Viareggio in Italy to play the Viareggio Cup. Now, and the idea is this: we want to minimize government funding. And how do you minimize government funding? Transfer of players, inflow from solidarity contribution, and training compensation. On record, Africa has lost 400 million on solidarity.
What currency, please?
$400 million on that alone. And we decided again to internally make sure that our profile is clean. We got registered on the FIFA Clearing House. We got registered on the FIFA TMS properly. And when we did the first major transfer after we won the league, it was just $40,000. And we could see the fans. They were so excited. This is money. And I'm like, wow, this is nothing. Because I know that Victor's first transfer to Everton was about £6 million. Yeah. And who says that the captain of Rangers currently, Chidebere Nwobodo, who plays like Lionel Messi,
Can't attract that amount.
who says he cannot attract £6 million? If he attracts £6 million, I will tell the governor, I want to build a smart school for you, for the state. You understand? So that is the aspect we are looking at.
Yeah. But as we all know, value attracts investors. And I think that's where I'm going to segue to Victor, because that 6 million transfer fee was hinged on fundamentals. Sport, like any industry, oil and gas, aviation, shipping, requires fundamentals to be in place. Because sports, like any industry, has assets. The players are assets. How are they identified? Just like you said, you've now moved to the TMS system so you can trace your assets. So now, you were a former international, now turned investor. You're on the other side of the table.
Yeah.
Brutal honesty. You look around at the terrain in Nigeria today, be honest. And to be honest, your face already says it. Would you, as an investor today, put money in the Nigerian sporting landscape? Be it football, be it tennis, be it basketball. Yes or no? And give us your reasons either way.
It's a loaded question because what we need to understand about sport is there's different industries or different levels within the sport that can make money. If I want to set up an academy, I have friends that make money in the academy system. They get players, they export them abroad, they're doing their job, but that doesn't help Nigeria. How does that help Nigeria? What we need to do in Nigeria, if I'm talking about football, we need to privatize the league. It's as simple as that. And I know that goes further than talking about SEDC, but we need to privatize the league. 17 clubs out of the 20 teams in Nigeria are owned by the government. It can't work.
Can't work.
It can't work. Everywhere else in the world, even Saudi Arabia, that have more money than everybody in this world, are privatizing their teams now. And that's why you see the spending less, because the Americans are coming in, putting systems in place. But in Nigeria, we don't have, let's be honest, some states don't have enough money for roads, water, infrastructure projects, but you're still holding on to the teams. How does that even make sense? Give it to private sector, incentivize private sector via taxes, via whatever it is. We're looking at a team. And the problems that we've faced trying to take, because it's for political, that's the conversation for another day. I'm not going to go into that because I see many screens.
I have another question to ask you, Victor, before I move to Amobi. And this question is about, a lot of the time in sport, we tend to forget what it actually takes to, I guess I'll use football as an example. For every footballer, behind that footballer, you have, a coach, an administrator, a data analyst,
physio,
a lawyer, marketing, negotiator, so many things. You've come from, I would say, quite a professional environment. How different was that environment to what you see here today? Like growing up, how much did it play a role in having a successful career, I would say?
Look, in England, we're very fortunate and we're blessed that the systems and structures are much better. But because when I was young, I didn't have to worry about anything. My club takes care of everything. We were like children. Travel, food, housing, everything. I didn't take care of anything. In the Nigerian system, even in the top, in the Super Eagles, you have problems. In the basketball, problems. Athletics, problems. All the problems. But what we could do in the Southeast, we could be the pioneers and lead. Show the rest of the country what is possible. Amobi is here. I say in front of him, he is the best sporting leader in Nigeria.
Yes, he is. Yes,
He is. And I was following his results at the start of the season. And because he was playing young players, and the problems about playing young players in Nigeria, they need to change this as well. They need to bring down the age group of players in the Nigerian Premier League. It's too high. How are you going to... I made my debut at 16 against Chelsea, 17. You've got players in Nigeria at 25, but they're saying, we know how it is. So...
So let me...
So wait there, so we've got, an amazing executive here like Amobi, who was playing younger players in Enugu. At the start of the season, they were not doing so well because when you play younger players, they can play good today, they can play good tomorrow. It's not consistent. But if you look at what's happening today, they're like third in the league now. Because if you need to give people time, investment is time. We cannot invest into sport as Nigeria and expect an ROI tomorrow. No. We have insecurity problems here, whether we like to believe it or not, we do. If we invest in sport, it reduces idleness, crime, antisocial behavior. I've just taken a facility in England from the local council because they cannot run private sector. And I've created a multi-sports in England. And they estimate that it's going to bring down crime by X amount % just from that. So imagine if we could do that here in Nigeria across all the different sports. And we have a fantastic opportunity to do that in the Southeast. And under the leadership of MD Mark and the other honorable guests that we have, and we have a lot of forward-thinking people. All we need is the money, the space from yourself and the rest of the commissioners throughout. I would have expected them here today. Thank you so much for coming. I don't understand why the rest of them are not here. No, I'm not joking. I don't understand why the rest of them are not here. We cannot work separate in different states. Everybody should be here listening to the conversation. If not, what are we doing?
Absolutely.
So I've come here for free. I've paid thousands of pounds on my flight to come. They're in other states just across. Come. Take part in the conversation.
Yeah.
I'll talk raw. I don't care. No one pays me nothing. I don't need anything. So, yeah.
So now, Victor, you've emphasized the importance of investment. And I think we need to talk about the importance of non-financial investment. I personally never hear any talk about training, capacity building. Again, just comparing and contrasting. And the reason why we're doing the compare and contrast is not to denigrate where we are. No, it is to borrow lessons from places that work and implement how it suits us. But I think it has to be said, and Amobi, why I like talking to you a lot about training and capacity building is because you are someone that has gone through the rigors of business administration in sport. And I think it has to be said, we don't emphasize the importance of capacity building in sport enough. We set up stadiums, we set up centers, and then we throw in people that do not have the skills. So Amobi, I want you to, just remind us, how important is it to have the right skills? Leadership is clear, you have it. But apart from that, administrative skills, and how do you ensure that the club where you work, the people have the right skills? Because I know what you're doing in Rangers is not an accident. It's a function of what you have been trained on. Garbage in, garbage out. You can't give what you don't have. So,
Okay, thank you so much. I think that capacity building is very, very important. And when you build yourself, you are able to function properly. And I'm happy that this is a Southeast development affair. So we want to develop the Southeast. Now, from a practical standpoint, when we came on board at Rangers, when you look at the region, Victor has done some courses, maybe with UEFA. I've done my UEFA CFM. I've done my FIFA Master. But how many people can afford to do that? And we decided to set up the Rangers Innovation Hub.
Nice.
And currently, I'm speaking with the people from the FIFA CIES to see how they can come and partner with Rangers. Already, there is one in Cairo, there is one in South Africa. And then we can have the Nigerian model. Now, what capacity building does is simple. Again, I love being practical. When we introduced the academicals in Rangers, a lot of fans kicked against it. They said, no, we just want to win the league. Why are we gathering children? Why are we bringing children? And I said, I'm not just going to bring these children. We are going to form a female team, which we did. So, what capacity does to you is this. You are not scared of anything. Because you know that when you live here, you are going to the next place to continue to develop the system. So, for me and for all of us at Rangers, and indeed for every right-thinking person who loves the growth of the Southeast and the growth of sports, we should really center on developing capacity. There are young people. The last time I was here to speak on the TEDx, Enugu TEDx, and I told them, there are a lot of things you can achieve. There are a lot of things you can do. If you can play football, you can become a nutritionist. You can become a psychologist. You can become a sports lawyer. You can be anything within the sports ecosystem, not just football. When our athlete had the issue of switch, when she wanted to switch from nationality, she needed lawyers. So they don't need to run for Nigeria. So for us, we feel that the 5 Southeast states, and again, Victor, I saw that you got emotional, and I have to toe that line.
I'm not
again.
emotional.
My commissioner is here, and I'm very happy he's here because he goes to the ESCO. But what of the other commissioners from the other regions? I know they may be listening to us on their phones and all that, but these are conversations we must have. As at Atlanta 96, we had Mary Onyali, we had Choma Jungwa, Kanwankwo gave us the gold. We had a lot of people from our region. That means the Southeast is the spiritual hub of sports. And if that is so, we must then scale up. And how do we scale up? If the people who are supposed to advise the governor are not in conversations like this, then we are not making headway. Do you understand? So, in the aspect of capacity, again, people need to, again, trust in themselves and be patient. Because, for instance, currently, we did a course in the Innovation Hub. And what was the course we did? When we came back to run Rangers, we found that many fans don't even understand what is happening with the club. And how do you get the trust of your fans? By being transparent, by pushing out everything you do to them to see. What we did was to get someone who has this expertise in content creation. And this guy was a youth corps member. I told him, you can serve in Rangers. And before he finished his youth service, AfriInvest said, who is doing content for you? We told AfriInvest, look at the guy, Kinsley. And they said, we want to employ him. I said, wow, I won't stop him. So he's now in Lagos. But what did we do? We said, Kinsley, we have an innovation hub. Through the Rangers Foundation, we are going to throw open young people who want to learn content creation is going to be funded by Rangers, and about 21 persons came. 3 of them are currently with Rangers, 1 with the youth team, 1 with the female team, 1 with the men team. So you see,
and that's how jobs are created. Excellent.
Can you see why he's the best CEO in Nigeria?
Okay, before we open up the floor to questions, I just want to touch on something you said, how the Southeast people can argue with themselves, is the spiritual home of sport in Nigeria. I believe that. I really do. And how can we attract the diaspora? How can we connect the diaspora? And that leads me to think about something Obi Yasika always says. How do we create more products? How do we connect the diaspora? And that was from Carlos's conversation with hospitality and tourism. We need products to connect the diaspora to us here. So that's a commercial. So that commercial aspect of sports then links the diaspora, because we want the diaspora to spend their dollars, their pounds, their yen. How can they actively participate in the sports industry, in the Southeast?
Wow. Thank you again. Victor became my friend because we were doing things right.
Yeah. Like attracts like.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
We started chatting.
Yeah.
He was in the UK,
Uh-huh.
and we started talking.
Yeah.
Now, another practical instance. I love being practical.
Yeah.
You are talking of diaspora now.
Yeah.
Currently, we have a partnership arrangement with a club called FC Schaffhausen in Switzerland. We are speaking with Meta, FC Meta, currently. Currently as well, the Swiss community, Enugu indigenes living in Switzerland, in December, they came back here, I think in this hall, and we presented to them Rangers jerseys, and they said, we love how transparent this is. Now, why am I bringing this instance? I'm bringing this instance because we have bigger institutions, sports institutions. You talked of basketball.
Yeah.
Are you putting these things out there? Can people follow? Can people call in and ask you questions? Can people walk into your office?
Are they
and
online?
And then you are saying, do I have an appointment with you? You are a public servant. You should have an appointment at all times. I tell them in the office, football is 247. Every day you wake up, go online, there is a football match somewhere around the world. So you must be active, very active. So connecting with diaspora is about being very transparent. It's about being very hands-on with whatever you are doing. When I got to Switzerland to head to Schaffhausen to sign with the club, FC Schaffhausen, what do I have to do? To look for the leadership of the Igbo community there. And Mr. Bonner and Nioke, he had to host me. He was like, wow, so this is happening in Rangers. And I said yes. And again, sharing of idea. Victor knows Kanu. Kanu is our legend, the chairman of Enyimba. We talk a lot. And when we did what we did with Schaffhausen, I spoke with Kanu and I said, legend, you are an Arsenal legend. You have a lot of connection. And just a month or so after, they had one with a Norwegian club. And that is how to grow the region. We have Heartland FC of Owerri, formed in 1976. What is happening to Heartland? Are you saying there are no indigenes from Imo State in diaspora? Again, excellence brings these people.
Absolutely.
back.
Let me just, and I know we're going to open it to the floor. The things that Amobi's saying, they're so basic. But the basic things are difficult. And it's putting the right people in positions to do the basic things. So these ideas that he has and the things that he has, it's not rocket science. Everybody else is doing it around the world. So it's putting the right people in positions to be able to do this. So when we talk about sporting, other jobs in sports, sporting director, marketing, all of these different things, we need to create these jobs for young people. Because Nigeria, we have a lot of followers of different teams that want to be involved in sports. They can't be football players, they'll just online. But they can use the knowledge that they have. If you speak to a Nigerian about sport, he knows everything. He knows every single thing. Let him put that into something practical that can make money for himself and his family. So these things are so basic, but it's creating the courses for them. And then, sorry, the last thing that we said is, how we do this is, what's her name? Lloyd? No, the lady. Stephanie spoke about storytelling. A lot of other people talk about storytelling. We need to tell the story of these teams. The whole of the Southeast together needs to tell a story of football, of sport. We need to be able to follow these teams. I don't know what my own state is doing. And I'm from Anambra. I don't know anything what we're doing. What does that tell you? What does that tell you? I haven't reached out to them. What are you doing in this state? No response. So that's what we're working with. That's literally what we're working with. But it'll change. We're all eager to change.
Hope isn't a strategy.
Exactly.
We definitely need a plan.
Exactly.
And again, just alluding to what you said, getting the right people in means they need to be trained. They need to have the right courses. They need to have the right support. Because sometimes you can have the right people, but there's no support. There's no training. Sorry, there's always one reason or the other why you don't want to train. I know you are also very good at that, capacity building. You're always pushing your people. See, it's like I'm giving him a lot of PR. But he's my guy. He's a lighthouse for a lot of clubs and sporting academies, and again, it's not an accident, it's not by coincidence, it's deliberate, it's strategic. I didn't become a sports lawyer by wishing it. I had to understand it, get deep into the industry, learn it, do courses. We need to professionalize. That's not really a word, but I've made it up. We need to professionalize sport. Sport needs to be seen as taken as seriously as any other industry. It's just like how we've been relegated to the back end of today, and there's not enough people in the room to listen to what we have to say, which is quite unfortunate. So even the way we put these things together, we need to kind of make a more concerted effort to get sports at the front of the agenda so more people can hear. Because the work we need to do in sport, it's going to take a lot of effort to turn things around. But I think we need to get people involved. Lots of questions. I can see hands on the left-hand side. So I don't know if we can get someone to help. Okay, all right. Thank you so much. So just say your name, who's your question directed to, and then shoot.
Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Ezokoli Blessing Chimeze Jack. I'm a co-founder of a sport club based in Enugu here called the Jele Sports Club. And we played in NNL last season. And by the way, we were at Vereggio. I think we inspired GM to want to take his voice to Vereggio this year. So mine will not be a question. I just want to contribute to the topic, right? First off, I'm very happy that we still have the likes of Kenem Paro here and Madam Stephanie, because they would have to play a role even in the topic we are discussing, because storytelling is important. I spent the last 5 months in Nnewi, where Kene is building massive, what's it called again? Cinema, by the way, right? So, Madam, maybe your next movie would have to be around sports, telling the story of sports, because now you're doing Aba riot and all. Again, we tried the model of not involving government in sports, because Ijele Sports Club we were building a membership-based system where we didn't have to bother anybody. So we wanted people to buy membership of the club and belong to the club. I wouldn't say we have not succeeded. I wouldn't say it's a failure, but I tell you that it's a very difficult. Yes, it's a very difficult process. And then sometimes we've sunk in over 150 million in the project, and I can tell you that we've been burnt, right?
Yeah.
So, but mine is straightforward solution to what I think that we can do. My MD, the chairman of Algon in Nigeria is Chinedu Ekeke, who is currently the chairman of Isikwato local government. He's a young guy like us. These are the kind of people I expect to be in this room when we're having this conversation. And I mentioned him because there are 95 local governments in Southeast. And I think that the sports, whatever infrastructure you're talking about, I think that Southeast Development Commission should actually partner with local government, right, for management. So when we build it, they are able to sustain and maintain it. So it remains free, right? And one of the reasons why I talked about, or I was talking about storytelling is because the culture of sport in Southeast is dying. You have to be extremely good for you to have a pocket of fans come into the stadium. And that can be very discouraging.
Yeah.
You know, it's not even about making money now, but people coming into the stadium to cheer the players alone can even, make them to perform more, right? And then, there's a lot of connection between sports and tourism. There's a lot that can be discussed in this particular, But like you said, some of the decision makers, the people that will be in the room when these things are discussed, or people that should actually take, actions, most of them are not here, apart from the, Honorable Commissioner Lloyd Ekweramadu, which is quite commendable. I mean, he's been here for so long. And, this is the kind of people we need. You don't need to know everything, but you just have to be open-minded enough to learn from other people and then implement.
I'm glad you said that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Because the
so
sports
much.
Industry, we need to begin to rely on advisors.
Yeah.
If you are not an investment specialist, you seek the services of an investment specialist. VCs, PEs are getting into sports. Financing is a major thing. People are looking for where to put their money. Trust me, there is funding and financing, but you might not be aware because you're not in the financial space. So I think if we leave here with anything, it has to be that us in sports, and I'm saying us because I feel like I'm part of it, we need to be, definitely, but just the last point, we need to begin to seek professional advisory, investment advisory, legal advisory, and so on and so forth.
And just to add, when you speak of professional advice, it's leadership again.
Leadership.
I'm happy the commissioner is here.
Yeah.
Every month, every 2 months, we sit to speak not just about Rangers. If you go to the cathedral, by the way, the cathedral is the Nnamdi Azikiwe Stadium. It's called the cathedral. If you go to the cathedral, by the gate of the cathedral, I think there is boxing, there is cricket or judo, a lot of things that he has brought in. Why? Because we sit down to speak about these things. We sit down to understand, how the Southeast or how Enugu can really help. There is a place in Ogu. The people who live there can win sprint in Olympics because they have to climb Amoli. We were there last week. You need to see their legs. And I'm like, why are we lagging behind? What's the federation in charge of athletics doing? So in Enugu, what we do practically is to sit. Sometimes he will say, I'm in your office. And then we are not talking of Rangers. Sometimes I'll go to his office and then we are thinking of how do we bring in secondary school students? How do we organize primary school, not for football, maybe for volleyball, maybe for basketball, for handball, and you find that these things begin to work. You understand? Tomorrow, for instance, Victor obliged me. We are going to talk to a primary school in Enugu. The kids will be wild. And you can imagine the impact of that. One person may just be like, I want to be like Victor Anichebe. I want to win bronze in Olympics or gold, inspired by Victor.
Silver.
Just to correct. Don't demote him. But more people want. Thank you so much for that contribution. Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you
Your
very
name,
much.
please.
Yeah. My name is Nnamdi Omonnabuike. I am a community youth leader in my local government in Ngobala in Imo State. My questions are rhetorical, so they are kind of suggestions, but I also need your insights. The first point is capacity building. And Ichebe, you have acquired a master's in a rare field. Can we domesticate it in UNN, establish a center for sports administration, or even the 5 federal universities in Southeast, and offer courses to every supervisory counselor for sports in the 95 local governments in Alibu? Practical. When you have a center for excellence in sports administration, you are training the next generation. You are training the trainers that will train the trainers in the future. And then you give them certificates and you say, with these certificates, we will open you up for opportunities. The MD, sir, I think this is, okay, or the SCDC, I think this is something that can be endowed Rangers has a hub, an academy. Why not translate it to a degree awarding center, endowed chair, a professorial chair in UNN? That would be distinct from the normal runnings of an NUC-backed curriculum. That makes it easy for you to cascade and domesticate what you have up there. The second rhetorical question, which is a suggestion, is budgeting. Why can't the 15 senators in Southeast sit down with SEDC and say, 2027 budget, build an Olympic-sized stadium in your senatorial zone? It might be difficult, but impossibility is nothing. Maybe they're looking for a nudge. Maybe they're looking for an encouragement. But we cannot say it cannot happen, because I know that there are some who would be willing to make this happen. So if there's a sort of counterpart arrangement between the commission and these representatives, because they sit down and appropriate. Why not appropriate one stadium in your senatorial zone? And then the third one is incentives. How do we set up a Southeast sports festival, sports competition across Southeast, so that when this infrastructure, when these capacity buildings have been set up, how do we make it work? It's by practicalizing. But how do we practicalize it? Create our own sports festival. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody, moderator, and because I want to thank you. My name is Engineer Isdo.
Can we just for 1 second?
Can we react to him?
Just to answer to this.
And then the gentleman in the
If not, I'll forget.
You
I align with your thinking with the education. That was when we first started this journey 1 year ago, that was my first point. Everyone wants to become the athlete, but 0.03% make it, right? So the education part and creating sporting directors, these different things, business consultants in sports, to me is more important than actually the athletes itself.
Absolutely.
Personally. There's more jobs available.
Absolutely.
To become a professional footballer in my age group,
Very hard.
there was one.
It's a fluke.
It was me and my best friend, that's it. Out of 500, 1,000, 1 million kids.
Yeah.
So to base everything on that is idiotic. It's idiocy in my opinion. However, so we're already doing things along this line, and hopefully we'll be able to share some things with you. We've already started speaking to some schools in the UK so we can have accreditation.
Yeah, shameless plug for me. I've set up a Business of Sports Institute Africa.
Yes.
It's online.
So fantastic.
It's live from this month. And again, I'm echoing Victor. We're coming here to talk about things we are going to do in the short term or things we're already doing. So it was really important for me to start that last year. So happy to have a conversation. But
And then, sorry, just the second question. So what was the second one? I forgot.
infrastructure.
Stadium.
So budgeting, yes. Listen, I'll leave MD to figure out the budgeting.
I actually wanted to respond to that.
Yeah.
When we were outside, we were talking of England, the two major arenas
George's.
in England. We don't need the senators to build
We don't.
Olympic-sized arenas.
Certainly not fine.
What do we need? You say you are from Enugu, right? Okay, you are from Imo State. Dan Anyam Stadium. What we need is to make Dan Anyam Stadium world class. And then you say how many local governments? 95 local governments have mini arenas, facilities where children can come and kick about. Okay? In Cairo, where my family stays, in our estate, in our compound, I train children for free. They just come and kick about. How do you discover? How do you scout them? By just standing to watch. Again, another practical instance. The current best left back in the country is from Rangers, Kenneth Iboke, assistant captain of the under-20. Do you know how he was discovered? I went to Nsukka to see my mom, and on my way back to Enugu, I stopped by a local community pitch, and I saw one boy sprinting. No boot, nothing. He will sprint down and cross. Then I was the team manager of Rangers, 2018-19. And I decided to wait. After the game, I said, who organized the Christmas tournament? They said, the Reverend Father. I said, please, I am the team manager of Rangers. I like this. They were actually two. I like these two guys. Can they come to Enugu, 4th of January? And then they said they have to go to the farm to work and get money and come. I said, no problems. When it's time, I will send money to you. And then, when it was time, I sent money and I said to the coach, look at these two boys. Don't say because I brought them. And after some days, coach said, the other guy should go back. I'm not sure he's going to make it. But this guy has got talent. And I said, for real? Okay, guy, take money, buy boots, buy this, buy that. And then when I resigned as team manager in 2021, and I went to Europe to study, and I was calling the people at Rangers, and I said, how is Kenneth? I think it's time to play him in the main team. And they kept saying, he's small. I said, no. Because by studying in Europe, I found that it's not about the size or the age. It's about the person's capacity. And then one day, I was in the class in Italy, SDA Bocconi. And then Kenneth called me on video call, and he said, the coach, Abdul Mekaba, that he took him to Kaduna because the big guy who was the left back for Rangers got injured. So they registered him for that match. And he was so excited, and he said to me that they voted him the man of the match. Kenneth was the only player. If you are online, you can Google Kenneth Iboke. He was the only player invited for the World Cup qualifiers, home-based World Cup qualifiers. And then they won the Wafu B in Ghana. Now, he was playing just in a little space. So we need one world-class facility, maybe in a state, and then those little arenas, not just for football. You know, we've been talking about football. For basketball, volleyball, they must not have the proper court. Just have something where they can play. Yeah. You can discover people. Have tracks. These tracks may not be world-class tracks, but tracks where children can run. You can discover these children. Again, it's important that you spoke about those with the money, the senators, the ministers, the governors, and we have to continue speaking. One thing that has left us where we are today is that we have to continue talking. Yeah. Part of why I came back as the GM of Rangers was that people, Enugu guys, we are talking. The governor never knew me. They were saying there is a guy in England, there is a guy in Italy, there is a guy in Switzerland, because that was how we moved from the FIFA master. And then one day I got a call. So we have to keep talking, and we must talk passionately about our region. I'm so passionate about the growth of the Igbo land because I believe in what God has given to our region. Absolutely. You understand?
Yeah. And I just...
Yeah.
I just want to make a point, if that's okay. You know, you said, why can't the Southeast cluster have their own games? Let me tell you something. You don't need to wait for, people high up there to do it. You can bring people together from across the different states. I'm sure you're already in sport. You must know other people that are passionate. You come together and, you take football. You get a pitch in Abia. You get a pitch in Enugu. Before you know it, you've created your own little cluster. Sometimes you need small momentum to drive. But if you keep waiting for this massive momentum, things will never happen. You on your own with 4 other people can create Southeast Games. And when you do the games, it eventually becomes acknowledged and recognized by the powers that be. I mean, after all, when I think of some of the games that my children attend, I have 3 children, 2 of them are sports scholars. One of the swimming competitions that my daughter attends in the UK, one man just started it too. Swimming, I think it's ESSA, English Swimming School Association. One man started it. I researched, and it's now an England-wide games. It just takes one, and then you find people like yourself, and before you know it, you're building momentum. So I think the lesson again is, please don't wait for government to do things. I'm telling you, there's victors in the room that you can talk to. If he likes your proposal, he might just give you a look. There's people like Amobi that are masters at administration. And Yeah, we need to kind of get out of this. I'm waiting for the government. I run a football club. I've run it for 13 years, basketball and football. I didn't wait for the government. I did it by myself. I'm not anywhere near where I should be, but at least I can say I didn't wait. So please, let's not wait. There's so much we can do together. We're all here. I think after this, we should all share contacts beyond today. So it's not a talk shop. We need to share contacts. Who's into football? Who's into basketball? Who's into administration, you know?
All right.
I think 2 more questions and then we'll probably...
Okay. Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Please.
Yeah, Engineer Isa is my name. I am the national coordinator. Actually, I'm from Imo State, and I'm the national coordinator of Southeast Communities Development Association. Excellent. Actually, we tried to organize the Southeast LGA soccer competition sometime in 2018. We had a demo in Imo State, and that was how it ended. But I want to ask what people are saying, like Victor saying, from what my brother said here. Is it not possible for the SEDC to liaise with some business, some personalities in our localities to support? For instance, I'll give you an example. In my community this past Christmas, one big man just brought out 5 million naira in my own local community just for them to compete. Yeah. Now, there are many of them. I know of a group that is called Akurula. And then they just last year, they brought out 10 billion naira for a project. Oh, wow. Now, what I want to say here is that with your capacity at the level you are operating, can we also integrate this thing into the program of SEDC? Now, what they need to do, get some organizations or individuals that can operate at certain level and gather information and organize, and then they take it up. For instance, we are in all the 5 Southeast states and in all the 95 AGS. Now, what it means there is that we can gather some information and then you leverage it. For instance, if we call Victor, look at what we are doing. Just with his name alone, you see this thing begin to work. The money may not be a problem. What they need is that organization, that relationship where they can say we can trust these people. Yeah. Then you see them taking up. I have a lot to say, but because of time, if we can take it up from there, there are many things. It can even integrate, even in the youths. When you talk about youth, somebody said not coming. The problem is that there are other things they are doing. We can integrate them into football with what they are doing. Absolutely. If they are doing this thing in the morning, in the afternoon, they come to soccer and compete, and all the rest of them. This thing can be put together depending on the management and administration. Absolutely. It depends on if this can be integrated together into the package of SEDC. And then they look at linkages, organizations that can operate at a certain level and help them make this thing work. Thank you.
I think that's a sound idea. Boris from the tech industry, actually.
Thank you so much.
On this side, please. Last question on this side. Thank you so much. He's been so patient. Thank you.
Moderator, you saw I doff my cap. Before I would talk sports, you know you don't play football with a red cap. In 2010, I was appointed Commissioner for Youth and Sports in my state. I'm from Abia State. My name is Honorable Chief Henry Abweze. I want to thank Right Honorable Stanley Onhajiruka, the former speaker, and the Right Honorable Aguyua, because I took some of my Today, one of my coaches that I supported in exposing him to international training, John Obu. John Obu is one of the best coach and the administrator in Nigeria today. He is the chairman of Abia Warriors. Sir, in 2011, as Honorable Commissioner, I enunciated Southeast Sports Competition or Festival. I tagged Nnamdi Azikiwe Trophy. I involved NDDC. NDDC sponsored that competition. And Abia State called a lot of goals and a giant trophy. This was done through grassroots sports competition. Grassroots is very critical.
Thank you.
In Europe, and even in Nigeria, in every national team in Nigeria, we kept a data that the Southeast produced the highest number of footballers there. Even the current one that played in Morocco. Go and check it. So if we have this legion of players who have idle money in Europe, especially where you are, my brother, and others, you can pool these resources. You can repatriate them like the Israelis do. You can come up with a larger master plan for Southeast so that some of this money can be drawn as equity and security in counterpart with the local governments and states and senatorial zones, thereby pulling funds together, repatriating them, and establish sports infrastructure. I did it in 2011 when Ultimate Commander flew wrestling ring in Abia State. We are the first state in Nigeria that have international wrestling ring. It was not bought by communities or group businessmen. Ultimate Commander, may God bless you, or fought for me. So what am I saying? Southeast Development Commission can be an aggregating point, the fulcrum in which some of these things we are talking will revolve. When you go back, arrange, open up a platform on app, get the data, all our Southeast players in Europe. See how you can raise their first $500 million or $1 billion. And scatter stadiums in all the 95 local government areas. Not just stadium for football, but every other sports. Rugby, tennis, and all that. Bring infrastructure. Young man, I love you because of your passion. You have passion, the kind of I've had 16 years ago. And that passion drove me. You can see in the history of Nigeria, Enyimba has the highest record in football competition in Africa. It was not done by people without passion. I thank KGK Mikunje. May God bless him eternally. These are my directors. And we don't sleep till we bring out solution. So what we need is as solution providers.
Thank you.
Solution.
Thank
and
you.
you will enjoy it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
There's two more. You want to add?
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Just to speak to what the other guy said and to what he said.
Yeah.
I know my commissioner wants to talk.
Yeah.
But during the Christmas, we didn't go for holidays. I and the commissioner. We were going from one village to the other, looking for talent. And do you know why we did that? Because we felt that we could get raw talent that will meet up with the via ratio requirement. And in some of the communities we went to, we found guys who met up with the via ratio requirement. And not just in Enugu. There's a guy currently, he's from Ukpo in Anambra State. He's going to Italy. So I and the commissioner, we were touring the villages just to get these guys. And again, the good thing is when you get these guys from the villages, there are no agents, they are free players. Nobody's coming to tell you, I bought him passport, I did this and I did that. So it's easier that way.
Thank you.
Sorry. Just a very, very quick one. I need to make it clear as well. SEDC's job is not to create the athlete. It's not. That is your job. You can also aid in that, but it is not our job to create the athlete. We cannot control that. It's got nothing to do with us. We control the infrastructure and we provide an enabling environment. That's it. The government can't come and start saying we want to make a player, send him to England, send him. It's not our business. It is the business of local clubs, academies, private sector. We are supposed to provide free places and infrastructure for people to play. That is our job. So we should never, and I know the earlier speaker spoke, and I understand his passion, and I always hear people saying to me, oh, you go and build pitch in your village, you have money. My brother, sorry, sir. I understand I can do this. However, government have a responsibility, we have a responsibility here, sitting here, to provide the basics. So don't let us off by going to tell individuals that have gone and worked in their life to go and provide basic infrastructure that is supposed to be there. Thank you.
Thank you. So one last question from Commissioner.
Thank you.
for your observation.
Of course, it's not a question, it's just a contribution. Again, from the point of view of government, you see, I would like to commend the SEDC for putting this together, for considering sports, the creative economy to be part of this developmental discussion. Because speaking from the point of view of government, the challenges government faces, or the challenges our society faces, which government has to contend with, are myriad. You know, when you've, assuming you take office as a governor and there's insecurity, you will put that as a first line charge for your funding. Spend a lot of money on security. Then you realize that the roads are bad. Then you appropriate that as a second line charge. Then you realize there's no water in a place like Enugu. You campaigned on that. You put that on a third line charge. Then you realize that the conditions of the schools are deplorable and the education is fast, deteriorating. Then you put that as the fourth one. Then you realize the health sector is falling apart. I mean, only a healthy person can play sports. Then you put that in there. And all of this is within the limited set of resources. So this is why the simple explanation as to why sports suffers in the underdeveloped world generally. In Africa, in South Asia, whatever. Now, what that means is that where a government comes in, like you have in Enugu State, and the government is passionate about bringing development across sectors, regardless, then for something like sports, you cannot do it without the participation of the private sector. You cannot do it without conversations like this. And that's why, like I said, I commend the SEDC for putting this together. Now, recognizing that, one of the first things we did when we came on board in Enugu, and the former commissioner from Abia spoke about how he worked with the state assembly then. We did the same thing. In Enugu here, we got an executive bill prepared and the House of Assembly was happy to pass it. The Enugu State Sports Development Fund law. And inside that law, which I mostly drafted personally, you have provisions for things like incentives, fiscal incentives for the private sector, for them to invest in sports development in the state. So I think where the SEDC can come in to allow us and support us in giving life to the letters in that law would be to, being a federal agency, as it were, now help us actually unlock those fiscal incentives. Enugu State can give you minimal tax breaks because most of the taxes are federal taxes. There are barely any state taxes really. So if a company is willing, but then the state is not able to give those tax breaks, rebates, deductions, then you can't really unlock the essence of those laws. So I think what SEDC can do, and then, of course, harmonize this across the region, is to support us to achieve that sort of thing, where in the Southeast, if you're going to invest in sports development or contribute to the fund in one way or the other, then the federal government is going to give you a tax break here. And I think we spoke about something to do with that, but we already have the legal framework for such a thing to happen here in England. I think it's something the rest of the states in the Southeast can actually replicate, and then this SEDC can coordinate its implementation. And then I was going to say one more thing about the grassroots thing. Yeah, I think the most important thing is these spaces. Just like Victor said, making those spaces available. I think government can do that. I think we need to look inward and reflect on some of our strategy and see, working with SEDC, how we can achieve those things. But already in Enugu, we're doing quite a lot. Like the GM Amobi said, we went around the states, all the localities during the Christmas break. And we've been doing this in various sports. We've had a lot of statewide sports competitions, school sports competitions. Talents have been discovered and they're being developed. I think maybe we need to throw more light on some of the achievements that we've had, and that way it's been more encouraging even for people that want to support what we're doing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you so much.
We're gonna hold you to that as well.
Yes, please. Yes, the spaces for sports, more
And
spaces.
the commissioner forgot to mention that we are hosting the National Sports Festival. And yeah.
Oh, that's a big one.
Yeah.
That's a
Is he
big.
doing or is he finished?
The cathedral will be renovated, don't worry.
Oh, there's other people haven't spoken. So sorry. And we really need to wrap up because it's almost 6 p.m. Can we have one absolutely last okay. Last, absolutely last. Oh, sorry. There's someone before you. I apologize. In behind, he's raising his hand. He's been raising his hand for a while. Augusta, do you mind
Just go
helping?
ahead. Go ahead.
Augusta, do you mind
Yeah, go ahead.
helping? There's somebody at the back. I'm sorry? Okay,
Just
so
go
we
ahead.
need to wrap
Quick
up.
question.
We
All
need
right.
to wrap up.
Okay, I'm Ken Mparo. It's interesting hearing the story about Rangers. I grew up in Enugu. At least a third of my life was in Enugu. I'll come back to a question about the revenues. You mentioned sources of revenue from what you do. I've lived in Newi now 5 years in March. I think it's important that we tell our story, and I say this as well, listening to some of the conversations from the floor. We need to tell a bit more of our story. The world needs to hear our story. But also, we need to tell our story from a particular angle, because we tell our story a lot from the show angle, not from the business angle. Yeah, I watch the audience a bit, and I watch a lot of the financial institution guys leave. Yeah, because, okay, so the government guy mentioned that there are a lot of problems with investing in sports and creative industry. But the point is, in spite of the security issues, in spite of the problems, there's so many wins. And some of them are sitting here, the wins. Rangers, what I've never heard before. And that's exciting. I usually, when I come back, I want to buy sports merch for the kids and all that. When we came in here, they gave us a book, a notepad and pen. Where's the Rangers one? Where's the Rangers socks? Things like that. Yeah. Partner with ABBA producers and do that. Where is the, my wife has been to like 3 World Cups, male and female. Yeah. What is it that attracts women most about it? It's the WAG's story, wives and girlfriends story. It's the showbiz, the lifestyle with it. The soap opera with within it. Yeah. Why is that? We need to partner with television stations, show producers, reality show producers. The David Beckham, the what they call him, the boys again in Manchester, David Beckham, Ryan Giggs, Scholes, the Spice Boys. Yeah. My wife told me more about the Spice Boys than So, and that's what, I support Tottenham. So we go watch live games. We're watching a game and she's discussing with my kids, their personal lives. I said, they're about to score a goal. But you see, they want to go back again, and when they go back, what do? They spend money, So I think a lot of that needs to happen. And it's exciting to hear that Rangers is doing that. So I think that merch, and all that lifestyle thing needs to come into it with partnership with other industries, and I'll also say this to a lot of people: creative economy narrative should be pushed more. Show conversations, show story, telling our stories of the wins of our industry can get the door open, get ears here, get us excited. But when the money angle now comes in after that, that's what keeps people in the room, not just coming to the door. Yeah. So sorry, I wrote a lot of things. Like I said, I've lived in Newi now about 5 years. I'm building a multi-leisure dining live show entertainment center anchored by the largest cinema in Africa. It's 27 screens. And I've dealt with Newi. I mean, a lot of my brothers and sisters are billionaires out there. Yeah.
They are.
I've come to understand how they think. Yeah. None of them have invested in me, by the way. None. Yeah. But a lot of them are building businesses that are looking to feed off mine. Yeah. Because they can see the possibilities. But I've come to understand how they think. Yeah. They don't necessarily invest, and that's using them as an example to describe the typical Igbo business person. Yeah. They don't necessarily invest in business plans. They invest in Kenkena Agafia. Yeah. Is this selling? Yeah. Hearing the Ranger story. But what I haven't heard is how much you generate per annum. Because if you tell me being a typical investor, for instance, if you tell me that you make 10 billion naira a month, you won't leave this room. Everybody will want to invest and get returns on that. So how they think. We need to show them the money. And like I said, merchandise. It's very important. I'm so excited. I know a lot of people overseas that we all grew up in Enugu, Rangers and all that. I used to be in the Boy Scout, and we used to get free tickets to what has become the cathedral, right? Like you said, Imagine going to England or wherever, yeah, and take some of this, even if it's just pen. We got pen here, yeah, and take back. It's Rangers, I go to Ifeanyi Stadium today. I went there last week and it was shot. It's just we're leaving so much money on the table. All I'm just saying, and you can see it from my body language. I'm excited hearing you have a football team, those kind of things. But I think for them, particularly SEDC, the investors, we need to tell them the money. We need to tell them how much we're making. Definitely. We need to tell them, somebody said, build swimming pools. Tell me, if you build a swimming pool, we make 1 billion naira a week. They will go for him. Yeah. So thank you. I just thought I'd make this comment.
Thank you so much. I think we really have to wrap up at this point. Otherwise, we'll be here for so long.
I know we have to wrap up, but we said here we shouldn't just be talking, but we should be practical. Please, to follow the Rangers story, if you are on Instagram, you can follow Rangers. We did the best unveiling for last season. Rangers INT on Instagram. Please follow us right now.
At Rangers INT.
We told the story, and I'm happy that one of the companies, TMG, they helped us to make a perfect story. Victor saw that and he was wild. We used the Ijele masquerade. We tell our stories, but I think the problem is amplification. Absolutely. Amplifying this. I'm happy that Stephanie is here. People with the fan base, they can help push out this. Victor is doing a lot. Our people, Ndi Igbo, Rangers bụ nke Ndi Igbo. Before Enyimba, Heartland, Rangers first. Before Ifeanyi, Rangers first. I'm talking about the jerseys. We have our jerseys. We have the Rangers store.
And where can you get
at
these
the cathedral?
Jerseys? Where can you get them?
At the cathedral.
Can you buy online? Can you buy online?
You can get online.
Can buy online.
But again, it's online. Yes. Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
packaging.
So
Yeah.
I invite you to follow, and we will talk about this.
Maybe
all
you
of
need
us.
to invite
Please,
Stephanie
I
to
will
the
talk
HQ.
with you, and you will see. You will be happy with what is happening there. It's already a model. Your son wants to play football. Yeah, he can come to the Rangers Academy. So,
Yay.
sorry, sir.
So we really need to wrap up.
Sorry, sir. Before you leave for Nnewi, I invite you to the Rangers office. We are going to present to you an official customized Rangers jersey. Okay?
Look at that. Fantastic. I'm so
Okay.
sorry. We really
Thank
need to wrap up. I'm so sorry because it's 6. It's 6. I have to be strict. Honestly, I have to be strict. Huh?